That's so Schande. It's the future, I can see. That's so Schande. Hey, it's Schande. So, here we are. Finally, here's the 1,000 subscriber special. I feel like I probably should have made this, when I actually did hit 1,000 subscribers, like in early December. But you know what? Whatever. Better late than never, right? So, I had to think about what I wanted to do for this video because honestly, I had no clue what I wanted to do. But then I stumbled across Odin Wolf's video about where he talked about, his evolution of his persona. And I was like, hey, that might be a fun thing to do. I'm gonna do that. Plagiarism. So, I started doing that. And as I was looking throughout my personal history in the fandom, I realized, I started off like most people start off in the fandom at a younger age, and it's so cringy. I was almost mortified looking at all this stuff because I didn't remember much of it. I mean, I've been in the fandom since 2011. It's been a while, and I just it was bringing back just A, it was bringing back some nostalgia. B, it was just it was so cringy. But you know what? We're going with it. I don't have any other ideas. Let's go. Well, first, I want to start off by, giving a little backstory about why my name is Schande. Schande is the German word for shame. So beginning with it, I didn't actually intend Schande to be my persona. I actually was writing just a story that came up into my head, and he was the main character. But I didn't have a persona at the time, so I just kind of used that character as like a placeholder for me in all of my like online profiles and messengers and all that good stuff. So, but then after a while, everyone just, started to know me as Schande, so I'm like, alright, whatever, it's sticking. But you're probably wondering why I named the character Shame. Well, it's because, like in true furry fashion, my first character had to have this ridiculously horrible and tragic backstory. It went something along the line of like, the father was like super strong and an alpha and blah blah blah, and then but when Schande was born, he was like small and weak and pathetic, and the mother died in childbirth, so she couldn't name him, so the father, dropped him like a hot potato and named him Schande just to disgrace him, whatever. It's so bad. It's so bad. But that's how the story went, and that's how the name stuck. And I'm like, at this point, everybody knows me as Schande. There's no point in changing it now. And, at this point, I've grown really attached to the name, so you know what? I wouldn't change it now if I wanted to. So, let's get into the character design, shall we? The very first description of Schande from that original story that I wrote, and no, I will not be linking it because it sucks and it's terrible and I don't ever want anyone to see it. But here is how I described the very first version of Schande in the story. It says, he was a bright orange fox with gray fur under his snout, running all the way down his front. He was abnormally short for a 15-year-old, around 4'8". The tips of his ears and tail were black, and he had black fur all over his paws as well. So basically, whenever I was designing the character, I didn't really, put a lot of effort into it. I'm pretty sure I kind of just Googled a picture of a fox, and then kind of just stuck with what I saw. So, even early Schande had a really basic design. I didn't go anything too crazy with it. However, I kind of based his next design off of my friends at the time. Most, if not all, of my friends back when I first joined the fandom were Pokemon. They had Pokemon personas. So, I kind of sat there thinking, I was like, what Pokemon is a fox? Vulpix! So yeah, I redesigned Schande as just a regular looking Vulpix. The only thing that was different about Vulpix was that he had, bright blue eyes. So, and then that was Schande. But of course, I couldn't just stick with the Vulpix. I had to give him some really cringy magical ability. So, here's what I did. I took the premise of the fact that he has blue eyes as opposed to like amber, or brown, like whatever the normal Vulpix eyes was, and I spun that into like an ability. So this Vulpix could change from fire to water type at will. Oh, it's so cringy. But yeah, he could change to water type. And then when he was a water type Vulpix, you know, his colors were blue, and he had bright red eyes. There's not much art that depicts him like this at all. In fact, the only thing that exists was something that I doodled really terribly back when I was, 16. It's right here. This is what it is. I'm very sorry you have to witness this horrible tragedy of an art piece. But yeah, fire type and water type Vulpix. Who knew? In fact, who knew that later on they actually would make an ice type Vulpix? So, you know what? Maybe I was onto something back then. I can see the future. That's so Schande. It's the future. I can see. That's so Schande. So that is what I stuck with for a good while. I kind of stuck with that Vulpix character. All of my friends, came to know me as that Vulpix, blah, 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 blah. Then at one point, I decided that I wanted to be, slightly different than just a regular looking Vulpix. So what did I do? Did I give him some strange markings? Did I change up his hairstyle? No, none of those. I gave him a robotic paw. Yes, you heard that right. I gave him a robotic fucking paw. There's only one piece of art that exists, and it's something that I drew, of course, again, from an old stupid ref sheet that I made. That, I what? I didn't even scan. I just, after I was done, I took a fucking picture with it, and then, posted it to Fur Affinity, which, it's still there. It's in my scraps folder. But here it is. You can't really see it really well, but there's the blue Vulpix with the stupid robotic paw. And how I kind of came up with the story behind the robotic paw was that he was swimming with his friend in the ocean, and then a Sharpedo just comes up and like, surprise, motherfucker, and just bites it right off. And then, to replace it, he gets this robotic bionic paw that's got like interchangeable attachments or something, so it just goes like ching ching ching. It would go from paw, then ching to like a sword or some shit, and then boom boom a gun. Think like Long John Silver in Treasure Planet. That's kind of where I drew the inspiration from. Oh, and then at one point, my character's design had a purple stripe going through his hair and then a purple collar tag, and the reason behind that is super stupid and cringy to the point where I won't even tell you. just, no, I'm not gonna tell you. Nope. So then, going forward, as I started getting more Anthro friends, I started to design Schande as like an actual anthropomorphic class. Except, of course, whenever I first started designing him, I had to go like all out with the cringy design. So, right here, he had the basic fox build. He just had some like fluffy hair at top at first, and then he had the white going down like I have right now. See, now we're starting to get into the territory of like what he looks like today. But that character, because I wanted to continue going with the shark bit, so he had a giant shark bite going along his side, kind of like Ray Fox, I think is his name, the dude that was attacked by the shark on his side, and he has the big scar here. Rodney Fox, that's his name. Hey, and a fox too. So he had the big shark bite here, and then he also had a tattoo on his other side because, sure, tattoo fur, why not? But it had a really nice quote by Henry David Thoreau that I liked, and it says, you must not only aim right, but draw the bow with all your might. And in this version of Schande, had a big tattoo of that on his side here. It was stupid. But he also, this is where I decided to take the character and kind of display the LGBT plus pride. So he had, this version of the character that I came up with wore a giant button. It was a rainbow, and it said, "Be proud." That was it. This didn't come into play until later. So that didn't really come into fruition. The only thing that existed of that character was the concept art that my friend Seafoam drew. So yeah, that character is, you know, in the past. Then I decided to, you know, revamp the Vulpix character a little bit. So he was still a regular looking Vulpix with blue eyes, but then I decided to add the rainbow bandana and then a little moon sign on his butt. The moon was in reference to one of my best friends in the fandom, Kirudo D. It's what he has on his forehead, so he put it on my side there. But then I had the rainbow bandana, which is, you know, one of the things that sparked, you know, this here. So this version right here that you see is the final form of Shande's Vulpix, and it will not change again. But from there, I moved that along to, you know, the Fox character. So the Fox is pretty, at this point, the Fox is, you know, just like how he is now. He's a regular anthropomorphic fox, very basic look, blue eyes, white fur, black paws. But at that point, he just had the bandana here. And that was the design that I was going to stick with. It's what I, you know, got some art commissioned with. Back when I wore that stupid looking mask, I actually had the bandana that I used to wear, that I bought at Spencer's or some shit. And then I got my fursuit. And the bandana that I had didn't fit on the fursuit. It was too small. So I had to get something else. So whenever I was at FWA in 2017, I bought this scarf at one of the booths in the dealer's den. And I used that to, at first I kind of tried to make it look like a bandana where it was pointed down here, so I tried to tie it in a certain way. But that was a lot more effort than I was willing to put into it, so I just kind of started wearing it as a regular scarf. And it turns out that I liked that. So that was the final change I made to Shande's design. It was to replace his bandana with the scarf. And here we are today. Now, Schande is a basic bitch with a long rainbow scarf. Ugh, it was a long journey to get here, super cringy, and now it's out there for the world to see. Ugh. But all in all, I am happy with my persona design now, and I don't plan on changing them ever in the future. And now it's a character that, you know, you all know and love, so I wouldn't want to throw a wrench into that, of course. And that's about it. Now you've seen my character design history. I'm so sorry. That's all I have time for this video, but I want to take a little bit extra time to thank you guys so much for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. I honestly never thought I could make it this far, and I really appreciate every last one of you, and I look forward to seeing where the channel will go in the future. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that shit, and I'll see you in the next video. But until then, boop!